The real battle isn't out there. It's inside you. You wake up, but it doesn't feel like a new day. The sun rises, but your mind is still stuck in the same loop. It's been playing for months. No one sees the war you're fighting. You smile at the world. You show up. You get things done. But inside, you're exhausted. Not from what you do, but from what you're constantly trying to escape inside your own head. You know that feeling where everything looks fine, but somehow nothing feels right. The fear, the shame, the overthinking, the voice that won't shut up saying, "You're not enough. You're messing it up. You're behind," and the worst part, you don't even know if it's true anymore. Because when you hear it often enough, it starts to feel like who you are. But here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. The real battle is not against the world, not against your job, your past, your relationship, or even your mistakes. The real battle is the one happening silently inside your own mind, and that's where Stoicism comes in. Not as a philosophy to memorize, but as a weapon, a calm, ancient, tested by fire weapon to help you stop reacting and start responding. Because you've suffered enough from letting your mind lead you blindly, it's time to lead it instead. In this series, I won't promise you a quick fix. This isn't a motivational speech that wears off in 5 minutes. This is deeper. We're going to face the brutal mental traps that feed your pain. We'll unpack them one by one, and then we'll rebuild your mind with stoic clarity so that your thoughts become your tools, not your enemies. So if you're ready, if you're tired of being tired, let's begin this journey to reclaim your mind and finally live from your power, not your pain. Rule 1. You are not broken. You're just battling in silence. Let's be honest. There's a war happening inside your head, and no one else knows it. To the world, you look fine. You show up. You function. Maybe you even succeed. But behind your smile, there's noise. Relentless, sharp, suffocating noise. It sounds like this. You're falling behind. They're better than you. You always mess things up. You're not enough. And the hardest part, you start to believe it. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. You've heard it so long, it starts to sound like you. But here's the thing, that voice in your head is not you. It's not your soul. It's not your truth. It's not your identity. It's just thought, just noise. Just electrical impulses in a tired brain that's been trained to panic first and question nothing. The Stoics, men who lived through exile, war, betrayal, and pain, they knew this truth long before we put names to it. Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. You're not in pain because something bad happened. You're in pain because your mind won't let it go. Because the story you're telling yourself has become a prison. But there's another way, a deeper way, a stoic way." This video isn't self-help fluff. It's not a just be positive speech. This is a guide for those ready to face the raw truth, to look their demons in the eye and learn how to reclaim control. Not by force, but with clarity. Over the next 9 rules, we'll dismantle the hidden traps that feed your pain and replace them with ancient, timeless tools to train your mind, master your emotions, and finally feel peace from the inside out. We begin with the most essential truth. You are not your thoughts. Rule number 2, stop arguing with reality. It already happened. You keep replaying it, don't you? That moment, that conversation, that decision you wish you could undo. You keep going over it again and again in your head. As if somehow, if you think about it enough, you can rewrite it. But you can't. And that's where the pain begins, not in what happened, but in your refusal to accept that it did. That breakup, that betrayal, that one thing that didn't go your way. You don't suffer because it happened. You suffer because your mind keeps screaming, "It wasn't supposed to be this way. They shouldn't have done that. This shouldn't be happening to me." But here's the Stoic truth, and it's a hard one. It did happen. And all the mental fighting in the world won't undo it. Epictetus wrote, "Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do, and your life will go well." That's not toxic positivity. It's not saying, "I'm happy this terrible thing happened." It's saying, "I accept that it happened. Now what do I choose next?" That shift is where your power lives. Right now, you may be stuck in resistance, fighting reality with all your might, wishing for a different ending to a chapter that's already been written. But here's the harsh truth. Every second you spend resisting the past is a second stolen from your future. You don't have to like what happened. You don't have to call it good. But if you keep trying to refight a battle that already ended, you'll lose every single day. So what does the Stoic do? They whisper a simple, unshakable truth. Amor fati, love fate. Not because fate is always kind, but because it's already yours. And when you stop arguing with reality, you reclaim the one thing you still have full control over: how you respond. So the next time your mind says, "This shouldn't have happened," pause, breathe, and say out loud, "But it did. So now what?" That one question might just set you free. Rule number 3, don't trust the first emotion. It lies more than you think. Underscore. You ever feel a rush of emotion so strong, so sharp, it convinces you that it must be true? Your chest tightens, your hands shake, your thoughts spiral fast and hard, and before you even realize what's happening, you've already sent the text, slammed the door, quit the job, or hurt someone you care about. Then an hour later, when the storm inside you quiets down, you ask yourself, why did I do that? Why did I let that take over? Here's the truth, that Stoicism whispers a truth. Most people never learn until it's too late. Your first emotion is not your final truth. It's just your nervous system reacting. It's the old parts of your brain firing off alarm bells, screaming, danger, even when you're not in danger. It's survival instinct, not clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are." But how often do we actually do that? How often do we pause long enough to ask, is this emotion telling me the truth? Or just trying to protect me from something that already passed? Let's be honest, most of us react too fast. We feel hurt, and we assume rejection. We feel ignored, and we assume betrayal. We feel anxious, and we assume something is about to go terribly wrong. And in that tiny window of reactivity, we let the emotion define the meaning of what's happening, instead of waiting long enough to see it clearly. But what if you didn't? What if the next time your chest tightens, you don't act on it right away? What if you pause, name the emotion, and give yourself space to see it from above? That's what the Stoics practiced, perspective over panic. They called it the view from above. It means pulling your mind back away from the chaos, away from the immediacy, away from the need to do something right now, and instead looking at the moment like you were watching it from space, small, temporary, passing. So the next time your mind flares up, and it will, don't trust the first thing it tells you. Don't believe the thought that says, they don't care. Don't act on the feeling that says, you're not good enough. Don't obey the impulse that tells you, burn the bridge, walk away, blow it all up. Instead, breathe, name the wave, let it pass, then choose. Because freedom isn't the absence of emotion, it's the ability to feel everything without letting it own you. Rule number 4. Your pain isn't always from what happened, but from what you told yourself about it. Underscore. Let me ask you something. Honest. What hurts more? What happened to you, or what you told yourself? It meant someone didn't text you back, and your mind said, they don't care. I'm not important. You made a mistake at work, and your mind whispered, you're a failure. Everyone sees it. You got rejected. And somehow, it turned into, I'll always be alone. I'm not lovable. It wasn't the event that crushed you, it was the story you created around it. And you believed it, because the brain loves stories even if they're hurting you. But here's what Stoicism teaches, and it changes everything. If you are pained by anything external, Marcus Aurelius wrote, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your estimate of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment. You're not hurting because of what happened. You're hurting because of the meaning you assigned to it. That silence wasn't proof of rejection. That mistake wasn't evidence of your worthlessness. That ending wasn't a life sentence. But if you don't pause, if you don't challenge the voice narrating your pain, you'll end up living inside a fiction that destroys you from the inside out. Here's the hard truth. You are both the storyteller and the listener. And if the stories you're telling yourself are built from fear, shame, or past wounds, then of course everything hurts more than it should. So today, we pause. We stop letting the narrative run wild. We start separating what actually happened from what our pain is trying to convince us is true. Because you don't need to rewrite the past. You just need to rewrite the story that's still playing in your head. And in the next few minutes, we'll learn how to do that with stoic clarity, emotional honesty, and a practice that puts you back in the author's seat of your own mind. This time, you're not the victim of the story. You're the one holding the pen. Let's begin. Rule number 5. Your mind is a garden. What are you letting grow? You want to feel better. Think clearer. Heal. But your mind won't stop spiraling. And maybe, just maybe, it's not because there's something wrong with you. Maybe it's because you've been living in an environment that feeds your pain every single day. Let me ask you something hard. Who are the people you spend the most time with? What kind of content do you consume the moment you wake up? What does your space look like? Your room, your desk, your home? Because whether you notice it or not, your mind is constantly absorbing what your environment allows in. And most of us, we're not living in peace. We're living in noise. Subtle. Constanoise. The friend who always complains. The YouTube rabbit hole filled with outrage and fake perfection. The room that's been cluttered for weeks. But you keep telling yourself you'll clean it when you feel better. But the Stoics knew better. Seneca wrote, Associate with those who will make you better. Welcome those you yourself can improve. Not because it sounds noble, but because it's necessary. Your environment, the people, the energy, the input is shaping your inner dialogue, whether you realize it or not. You can't plant seeds of peace in soil poisoned by gossip, chaos, and distraction, and then wonder why your thoughts feel heavy and sharp. If your surroundings are a storm, how can your mind be calm? And no, this isn't about being perfect or becoming a monk. It's about getting honest, about recognizing that mental clutter often begins as physical clutter, that your anxiety might not be your fault, but the byproduct of a world that trains you to never slow down. You're not just battling your thoughts. You're battling the system that created them. But here's the good news. You have more control than you think. And in this next section, we're going to talk about how to take that power back, not with force, but with quiet decisions, with boundaries, with simplicity, with one question: does this make my mind clearer or more chaotic? Because when you change your environment, you don't just shift what's around you, you shift what's within you. Let's begin. Rule alt. You're tired. not broken. And that changes everything. You're not lazy. You're not weak. And you're definitely not broken. But you are tired. And not just tired like I need a nap. Tired, but tired in your bones. Tired in your heart. Tired in a way that silence doesn't even feel peaceful anymore. Let's be real. When your thoughts feel heavy, when your motivation disappears, when every little thing starts to feel like too much, it's easy to think something is wrong with you. You start asking the quiet questions. Why can't I handle this like I used to? What happened to me? Why does everything feel so hard now? But here's a truth that no one tells you in time. Sometimes your mind isn't broken. It's just burned out. And when you're burned out, your brain plays tricks on you. It tells you that you're a failure, that you're falling behind, that you're disappointing everyone. It rewrites reality through the lens of exhaustion, and the more tired you are, the more those lies sound like truth. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke. But how can you revoke the pain if your nervous system is in survival mode, if your body hasn't rested, if your soul hasn't exhaled in months? Stoicism isn't about powering through blindly. It's not about grinding until you collapse. It's about recognizing your limits and treating your energy like something sacred. You're not supposed to think clearly when you're running on fumes. You're not meant to make big decisions when you haven't eaten, slept, or sat with yourself. And yet, we shame ourselves for needing rest. We call it weakness. We call it quitting. But maybe what your body is trying to tell you is not, you've failed, but it's time to stop carrying everything alone. So before we move on to the next principle, before you try to fix yourself again, take this in. You don't need to push harder. You need to pause. You don't need more pressure. You need permission to breathe, to recover, to come back to yourself. Slowly, because you're not broken. You're just tired. And tired. People don't need shame. They need rest. Let's talk about what that kind of rest really looks like. Rule number 7. Gratitude isn't just a feeling. It's a survival tool. When your mind is drowning in darkness, gratitude feels like a cruel suggestion. How can I be thankful when nothing feels enough? How can I appreciate anything when I wake up with a weight on my chest and go to sleep with doubt in my veins? If that's you, if you've been waking up each day feeling like you're behind, like everyone else is thriving while you're just surviving, this message is for you. Because what you're experiencing isn't just sadness, it's tunnel vision. Negativity narrows your focus. It tells you nothing is working. You're always losing. You'll never catch up. Everyone else has more. And the longer you listen, the more you believe that voice, not because it's true, but because it's loud. But here's what the Stoics discovered centuries ago. The antidote to darkness isn't always light. Sometimes it's perspective, and gratitude is how you get it back. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." You see, you're not suffering because life is empty. You're suffering because you've been conditioned to only see what's missing. The job you didn't get, the person who walked away, the version of yourself you thought you'd become by now, and in all that noise, you forgot what's still here, what's still holding you, what's still enough. Gratitude is not a fake smile. It's not pretending things are perfect. It's training your mind to find what's real, even in the middle of the storm. It's not a weakness. It's a weapon. And if you use it even in the smallest way, just once a day you'll start to shift. Not all at once, not in fireworks, but in fragments that build a new way of seeing. Today, we begin that shift. We stop chasing what's out there, and we start remembering what's already within. Let's talk about how gratitude practiced, not just felt, can begin to silence the lies your pain has been repeating for too long. Let's begin. Rule number 8. You did your part. Now let go. You worked hard. You cared. You planned everything. You gave it your full heart, but it still didn't turn out the way you wanted. Maybe it was the job you didn't get. Maybe it was the relationship you tried to save. Maybe it was the version of life you pictured in your head. But reality just didn't follow the script. And now, you're stuck in this heavy space between I tried and why wasn't it enough? That's where suffering creeps in, not because of what happened, but because of your attachment to how it should have happened. The Stoics warned us. You can control your actions, not the outcome, but that's not what we're taught. Right. We're raised to believe that if you work hard, stay kind, do the right thing, the world will reward you. But sometimes it doesn't, and if you don't learn to detach from the outcome, you'll let every unmet expectation turn into a quiet belief that something is wrong with you. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Doing your best is enough, even when the result doesn't reflect it. That's Stoicism. Not cold, not emotionless, but grounded. It says, you showed up, you gave what you had, the rest, it's not yours to carry. Because attachment to results is what turns effort into exhaustion and failure into identity. So if you're feeling disappointed, if something didn't go the way you prayed it would, this isn't the end. It's just a redirection. A call to return to what you can control: your effort, your choices, your attitude, and let go of what you never could. In the next part, we'll explore how detaching from outcomes isn't giving up. It's freeing yourself to grow, to heal, and to live without being chained to every expectation. Let's begin. Rule number 9. Growth isn't supposed to feel good. It's supposed to change you. If you're feeling uncomfortable right now, good. That's where it begins. Not the easy stuff, not the motivational quotes, not the comfort zone you've decorated with distractions and delays, but the discomfort, the sting, the stretch, the silence. That's where growth actually lives. But no one tells you that. Do they sell you glow-up aesthetics? But they don't show you the ugly middle. The nights where you're questioning everything, the tension of letting go of old habits that used to numb the pain, the fear of becoming someone new when the old version of you felt safer, even if it was slowly killing you. But here's what the Stoics knew. If you expect life to be easy, you'll break when it's not. But if you expect hardship and embrace it, you'll bend, not break. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Translation: if it hurts, good, you're training. But modern life tells you the opposite. It whispers, discomfort means you're failing. Pain means you should stop. This shouldn't be this hard. But that's a lie. And you've believed it long enough. You've avoided the pain so well. You forgot that healing often hurts first. So if you're in a season where everything feels heavy, where your growth feels like grief, where you're not sure who you are anymore, maybe it's not a breakdown. Maybe it's a becoming. In the next part, we're going to talk about what it means to embrace discomfort with intention, to see it not as punishment, but as preparation for the person you're stepping into. This isn't about suffering for the sake of it. It's about finding purpose in the pain. Let's begin. You're not lost. You're rebuilding from the inside out. If you've made it this far, you're not just watching a video. You're choosing something most people run from: awareness. Brutal, honest, life-changing awareness. And with that comes power. Not the kind of power that controls the world, but the kind that lets you walk through it clear, steady, anchored, no matter what chaos is happening around you. Because now, you know, you are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them rise and fall. And that means you can choose which ones stay. You don't have to fight reality anymore. Acceptance isn't surrender, it's strength. You don't trust the first emotion. You pause. You observe. You choose. You no longer believe the false stories you used to tell yourself. You question them. You edit them. You write something better. You protect your environment like your peace depends on it, because it does. You give yourself permission to rest. You're not weak. You're human. And even warriors need time to recover. You practice gratitude, not because life is perfect, but because it's real, and that's enough. You let go of the outcomes, because your identity is rooted in your effort, not your results. You embrace discomfort, not as punishment, but as proof that you're growing into someone you were meant to be. This isn't the end of your journey. It's just the beginning of a new way to walk through it. So don't rush to change everything overnight. Just start living by these rules quietly, daily, without needing applause. Because real change doesn't shout, it builds. And right now, you're not falling apart. You're rebuilding from the inside out. Let that be enough for today.